everybody. Welcome to Tim and Veronika's weekly market update. Hi, Tim.
Hello, Veronika.
Hope everyone had a great holiday and looking forward to more festivities for the rest of the month. The topic of today we wanted to share with you is projections on home prices. We came across some interesting article, and you probably also see various institutions offering their opinion and projections on prices decreasing next year. Like, for instance, Morgan Stanley research shows nationwide prices should go down by about 10%. This is what one of the resources called CoreLogic, which we rely on in our industry, actually expecting prices to still go up slightly by about 4% on an annual basis for 2023. This year, prices rose up by 10% compared to previous year. And we still expect some increase in 2023. This chart represents the percentage of annual increase been tracked since year 2000. You see a big jump, that 10% over the previous year in 2022, and still expecting some minor increase, 4% to be specific, in 2023. I wanted to mention that in Metro Atlanta area, 4% appreciation on an annual basis was very common event, right, Tim, in
Yes.
previous years.
Right, before 2020, when things went up like a rocket.
Before 2020. So 2020 and 2021 and first 2 quarters of 2023 is what I want to call not norm. And I want to share, now it's time to share what's going on in Atlanta market. So let's take a look at the median sales price. So as of November 2022, we have all our numbers in. The median home price is still higher than it was in 2019. What's going on with, what do we call it, buyer's market or seller's market, or do we see any inclination towards market changing to become a buyer's market? We're now looking at month supply since 2017. In a normal market, the inventory is typically normal. I want to say balanced market. The inventory months of supply is typically worth 6 months. Anything below 6 months, like we were observing since 2017 and up to date in November 2022, is still way below the balanced market. So this is what this number represents, very strong sellers market. To confirm that, we also want to take a look at days on market. Today in November, an average median days on market were 18 days until home is getting under contract. We all know that it took almost nothing, no days at all, in this event created by COVID. But in 2019, we had an average of 30 days for homes to stay on market until getting in the contract. So we're still below the norm, I would say. The homes are still selling. Some sellers may think that buyers have disappeared, that those increasing interest rates have drawn majority of buyers away from the market. So let's take a look at how many showings on average we have per listing. again, comparing to the previous years. In November, average listing is getting showed about 5 times, by 5 buyers. In November 2019, we had even less buyers according to this graph. But what's interesting is how many showings it takes to get the house under contract. In November 2020, we see about 14.7 showings to get the house under contract. In November 2019, the number was 12 showings. So there are buyers, there are even more buyers currently on the market than we used to see in 2017 through 2019. It's just they're being more careful. Would you agree, Tim?
Yes. In fact, I'm impressed that given the price increase between 2019 and today, the fact that it's taking less showings to get a house under contract with the interest rates where they are really suggests to me it's a seller's market, because buyers are still coming, even though they're going to be paying more on average on their mortgage than they would have 3 years ago when we were before this increase in home prices. So
there are always ways to help buyers and sellers to connect and get to a mutual agreement and to achieve their goals. Sellers now are more attentive to buyers' needs. They're offering more concessions. And if you think homes are selling above the asking price, it may not be necessarily true. I wanted to show you one more detail before I give floor to Tim. Percentage of original asking price. That may include price reductions that seller had to make in order to finally get the house sold. This percentage in November sellers are getting, according to this number, sellers are getting about 2% less than the asking price. While in the first 2 quarters of 2022, they were getting at least 100%, if not more. In 2019, again, trying to compare it to the pre-pandemic norm market, sellers were receiving even less than today. So Atlanta market is fairly strong. What's going to happen in 2023 really depends on what how the station with rates is going to pan out. And this is something Tim would have to comment on as an expert.
I love talking about rates, especially when they're coming down, which they are. Not necessarily at the speed of sound, but they're coming down from what I think was our high probably 3 weeks ago at around 7% interest rate. This is a conventional 30-year fixed loan. FHAs might be a little bit lower than that. But anyway, we're down from that. We're around 6.5, 6.375 today. And that's largely because the inflation, and again, a lot of these things are published or broadcast on the news in the evenings. The indicators for inflation have kind of cooled off a bit because we had gasoline prices going up. We had the food going up, and lately gas prices have dropped by 30 cents in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So all those inflation indicators that were going up before are slowly but surely coming down, which is kind of what the Federal Reserve was hoping would happen. And with an assist from China, because there are a couple billion Chinese that can't leave their homes to drive their cars, so nobody's buying gas in China. So the cost of oil has come down because of the reduction in demand based on the zero COVID policy in China. But that's neither here nor there. Today, I expect that to begin to be a trend in the downward direction, but a very slow trend. So I wouldn't expect to be at 5% in January, but I certainly think that we'll see further slow, gradual reductions in interest rates, which again increases affordability, which means that those home prices going up a little bit. It's a lot easier to take that when you know your interest rate's going to be lower today than it was, let's say, a month ago. So all good news on the interest rate front, although we'd love to have them back at the 3 or 4% rate they were a year or two ago, but those days are likely in the rearview mirror, at least for the near future. So, but I'm optimistic on a rate standpoint, from a rate perspective going forward.
That's great information. I'm really happy we can share it with you before the holidays.
That's my gift to you. That's my first gift. I'm going to give you a better rate today.
Speaking of gifts, I want you to share, Tim, the recent transaction that you were able to put together thanks to the whole gifting allowance, right? That is permitted for to help buyers with down payment.
Right. Now, I'm going to start with this by saying I am not a tax expert. You consult whoever prepares your taxes if you don't do them yourself to get the proper tax advice. But there's this common misconception that there is an amount that you have to report if you've donated gifts to somebody else. And that's for the year, I think, 2022 tax year, it's like $16,000. So if you gave the gift to a parent, a child, whoever, relative, you're required by the IRS to tell them that you gave somebody a gift and the amount of the gift. So everybody thinks because you're telling the IRS that you pay taxes on that. The answer is you don't. All they're doing is they want to track your lifetime donation of gifts to anybody who you're giving gifts to. And it surprised many people to learn. I think everybody I've talked to, when I tell them this number, they don't believe it. But basically, you will get taxed on gifts once you have donated or given gifts of at least $12.06 million in your lifetime. So, and if you think about it, the reason that this even exists, this gift tax, is because people that are well off, if they were trying to estate plan, instead of having an inheritance tax hit their children or their heirs when they die, they were giving gifts, every year or two to try to give them the net worth without having it be taxed. And so that's why the tax rate, the basis for taxes is so high. It's only going to be for the people that are trying to get around the inheritance tax. All that to be said is when you have a gift that you're giving, if the child is receiving it, the child doesn't pay any taxes on it. The donor only has to report it to the IRS. And in 99.9% of the cases, they likely will never pay taxes on that gift. So that's one of the reasons people don't want to give gifts. And I just wanted to dispel that because I got my first down payment was a gift from my parents. I'm going to give gifts, I hope, to my children when they buy. Yeah. So you're paying it forward. And I think that a lot of people will always ask that question. I have saved the website, a link. So when they ask me the question, I send back this email that has like the standard boilerplate language that we're covering here, which is you just have to report it. You're not going to be taxed until you've given $12 million. I hope I get taxed on gift giving. That means I've made some money in my life. So I hope that I can get to the $12 million minimum for the taxation. And in that way, I'll know that life has been okay for me. So
I concur. Great 5-year goal to achieve, right? To give somebody.
Right. And this is the time of gift giving. So I'm thinking it's a good time to bring up gifts because as we go into the new year, people start looking for homes. Children, maybe they don't have the means for down payment, especially with prices gone up a little bit. And when people talk about gifts, hopefully they'll remember this or they'll see this and they'll say, oh, okay, that's right. I don't have to worry about paying taxes on that gift. So
that's awesome. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And in the spirit of gift giving holiday season, just give us a call and see how we can help you with your goals. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the day.